Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the lake that I built on my island. So I wanted to go with a super foresty vibe with this build of my island. As some of you know, I recently reset. Yes, I wanted a super foresty vibe. So the first thing I did was I added a few layers of trees behind where I wanted the lake to be. So that way I could have a little bit of depth and for it to look pretty foresty. The next thing I did was I added some trees along the side of where I wanted the lake to be to give some separation between the beach and the lake. I felt like it needed a little bit of separation so that way I could still have the foresty vibe, and I didn't feel like it being that close to the beach was giving me the vibe that I was really hoping for. So once I had the trees placed how I wanted, the next step I did was to dig out the outline of the lake. I feel like this is really important so that way you can kind of visualize the size of the lake and also the shape that you want of the lake. So you can see that I struggle a little bit with being a little too close to the trees when I'm waterscaping. I really like the way it looks when trees can be close to the water, but Animal Crossing has some limitations for how close the trees can actually be. I think it's super important to dig out the outline first so that way you can kind of give yourself an idea of how big you want it to be and the shape that you want it to be. Here you'll see that I'm just kind of like carving out some squares and just giving myself a general idea. Once you have a general idea of the size and shape you want, then you can start shaping a little bit and digging out the center. I knew that I wanted the lake to look really natural, so I didn't want any sharp edges or corners or, flat lines. So you'll see that I'm kind of digging it out, trying to round things off and make it as natural looking as possible. Once you have the outline basically figured out, then you can start to carve out the inside. Waterscaping the inside of the lake is going to be the longest part when creating the lake. I knew that I wanted to have the feel of a very massive lake without it taking too much of my island because you only have so much room to work with. So I tried to make the lake as wide as possible horizontally so that way I still had that large lake feel when you look across it. So here you'll see it's just a lot of digging out. And then we have to stop here to get a little present. You got to get the good stuff. Would we get cute DIY table? Back to digging out. So once you kind of have it all dug out, then you can really dive into the shape that you want the lake to be. Mine is not as big as I wanted, but like I said, I really didn't want it to take up too much of the space on my island because I have so many ideas of what I want to add to my island. So here we are just digging it out. I think it took me a little over an hour to dig out the center of the lake after I kind of got the general idea of the size and shape I wanted. And I also struggle a little bit, as you can see, with waterscaping. I tend to dig out and then rebury the same spot. I'm sure you guys can all understand that. I really wish that Nintendo would give us like a little square or something in front of us so that way we knew which section we were working on. I also have that problem when I'm building cliffs. I'll tear down and rebuild the same section of cliff over and over again. It can be quite frustrating. After you get the hang of it, I feel like you start to get a little bit more used to it. So here you'll see that I kind of have a straight line, which I wanted to avoid. So I'm trying to round it off, but again, I'm too close to the trees. So I just went ahead and built that out again. And then I'm just going to keep shaping and reshaping until I get what I'm looking for. Here we go. We're just rounding it out, trying to make it look a little more natural, and trying to get it as close to the trees as I possibly can. There I am digging and refilling the same hole over and over again. I feel like it's got to be frustrating, just as frustrating to watch me do it as it is for me to do it. So here I am. I'm kind of adding to the outline that I've already created, just rounding it out and giving it a little bit more of a natural shape. I really enjoyed doing this. I find waterscaping to be very calming. I think it's just because it's like the same repetitive motion over and over. But it's kind of nice just to do. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Just hanging out, probably chatting with someone on Discord or something. But yeah, so I'm just trying to dig out the rest of what I kind of already outlined for myself. Trying to make it as round as natural as possible. Once you get rid of the middle part, that's when like the real fun starts. You can really start shaping and then decorating, adding trees. I really love how the water looks once you start to get rid of a lot of the land. Yeah, it's just more digging and more digging. Sorry, this is not the most exciting part of the video. I suppose I probably could have cut some of this out, but I wanted it to be as comprehensive as possible. And we're just about done. So you'll see that I've kind of dug myself onto an island, so I will need to add a little bit more land to get rid of that last little bit there. Here I am standing still forever again for no reason. Alright, there we go. Now that we've gotten rid of that, we can really start shaping the lake. So on this side of the lake, I knew that I wanted to add some trees in between where the water ends and where the cliff starts. You only have so much room there, so I kind of had to play with it a little bit to make sure I had plenty of room to plant the trees that I wanted to plant. And here I am just trying to round it off and, again, make it look as natural as possible. There's a weird, odd little pointy edge. Okay, so just kind of running around, getting a feel for the shape that I created. And a lot of it is trial and error, so if you don't like the way it turns out the first time, just keep trying, keep digging, and keep reshaping. So that little piece of land that I just added there, I plan to use for a dock. I wanted it to make like a cute little fishing area once the lake is done. So I wanted to make sure I had a little piece of land for a dock. So here I am just stealing some trees from around my island to decorate with. I always prefer to decorate with fully grown trees as opposed to saplings. It's just easier for me with how I need to visualize it. It makes more sense. So I rarely ever plant saplings, and I'll usually just steal some trees from around my island. Once you have the lake in a shape that you want and you add the trees, then you can really start decorating. After I built this lake, I ended up reshaping it a little bit more, which I'll show you at the end of the video. So this is not the final shape that I have. Here I am adding some wood to the dock to make it look a little bit more like a dock. And then also here I wanted to build like a little lookout area. So it's going to be like a hiking area, and then you hike up to get a really nice view of the lake. When doing this, you have to have the land close enough to the water that you can see the views that you've created with the lake, but it needs to be far enough away that it's not obstructing the view of the lake. So there's the lake. There's one last little run around here, and there's the map. You can see it up in the top right. Okay, and so now I'll show you, this is the new lake. So I've reshaped it a bit. I didn't like that part in the top right of the lake that was kind of like a weird shape. So I just kind of made it a little bit bigger, and you can see it on the map here. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you all again soon. Have a great day.